I guess we got to talk about this Hall of Fame thing. I just had it on as I did other stuff. Like I sat down and, I think I was reading a comic book at one point and I was sketching storyline ideas on another one. I was doing all kind of stuff during this Hall of Fame. I didn't sit and watch it. The piped in crowd noise, though, was very distracting. Especially at one point where there was piped in crowd noise chanting one more match for the Bella Twins. I remember looking at the screen and I was like, man, ain't no way. Ain't no way. I know that the Bella Army is real and the stands are real. But ain't nobody trying to see y'all wrestle again, man. I ain't even gonna buy that one. That's Vince and them being nice. Alright, so let's go through this Hall of Fame show. So again, I didn't give it 100% of my attention, but I heard all the speeches. I'm not going to go into some of the speeches, celebrity wing speeches. We're not going to go get into those. JBL was the first one. So JBL, of course, talked about his training under Brad Rheingans and, getting an opportunity to go wrestle Rod Price and then going to WCCW and working at working with Otto Vance overseas, and then he basically says, like, he fell in love with, the white hot heat. He fell in love with having heat. And he says, like, if you don't know, the thrill of not knowing whether you're going to get out of the building alive, you haven't lived. So he gives Eddie Guerrero all the credit for jumping off the JBL character with the heart attack with his mom. And he thanked WWE for giving him the opportunity to visit charities and do the troop stuff. And then he kind of pump faked on the opportunity to apologize to all the people he supposedly bullied backstage. And he says, if I ever said or did anything to make you feel uncomfortable. And he sounded like he was going to apologize. And he says that, he doesn't apologize for anything and they should suck it up. He called them snowflakes. I thought that was great because I thought he was legitimately going to take this time and apologize because he has this reputation for being a bully. And no, he's not going to apologize at all. So I'm like, okay, cool. The British Bulldog was next. Georgia Smith, Diana Hart Smith, and Harry Smith, his son, was there. Harry did all the talking. They brought Buffy, who I'm guessing is the granddaughter of Matilda that he said it was. And he basically just talked about how his dad was a great athlete and, how he was a great performer. And that, how his dad influenced him and the Dynamite Kid did too. And it was really touching. He just kept calling him Davey. He wouldn't say my dad. He would just say Davey, Davey, Davey. So I'm guessing you know who you're talking about. I would have liked to hear from the women. Odd case of, Diana didn't get to talk about her brother. Georgia didn't get to talk about her dad. Unless they did talk and I just wasn't paying attention. Or my Peacock might have acted up because it was acting up during this. I think it was because it was raining or something around here. That kind of affected my internet, but this was not bad. It was pretty basic, with Harry basically just saying, how much his dad meant to him and how an athletic his dad was and how he was an all-around guy. He could do everything. So, and I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't disagree with any of it. Very, very, very touching stuff. Jushin Thunder Liger did his video via virtual. Basically, he did his video in his mask and basically just said he's honored and that, he's glad that he became a professional wrestler and he thanked all of his fans in the WWE universe. And that was it. So he kept it very short, which was really nice. William Shatner went into the celebrity wing. I skipped that. I didn't even pay attention to it if we're quite honest. So the legacy introductions were Crippler Ray Stevens, Brickhouse Brown, Gary Hart, Dr. Death Steve Williams, and Baron Michelle Leone, I should say. So Crippler Ray Stevens is most known for being the tag team partner of Pat Patterson. I'm surprised they didn't put Ray Stevens in while Pat Patterson was alive, so that Pat could maybe talk about him. That would have been nice, but I think I don't know when Pat's mental capabilities started kind of diminishing. I know that, before he died, his mental capacity was kind of starting to get shaky. I think he might have had like dementia or something. So I don't know when he could have done it, but he certainly, Ray Stevens has been dead long enough for him to have done it years before now. But I mean, it's very, very very touching, and I'm glad that they finally did do it. Brickhouse Brown for me is just the guy that they tried to replace Junkyard Dog with. In in Mid South. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people probably like, you don't know what you're talking about. He was a big star in Florida or something like that. I'm just like, yeah, but I'm talking about what I saw. And all I saw is when Junkyard Dog left, Bill Watts just started bringing in every Negro within that could do a body slam within 100 yards. He was bringing them into the goddamn arena, trying to get them over. And Brickhouse Brown was just one of those guys. He did get over, but he didn't get over like Junkyard Dog. Brickhouse Brown did get over though. And he wasn't bad, he wasn't bad. I just felt bad because I was like, when I saw this, I was kind of like, the guy that they brought in to be, the, to cover for Junkyard Dog. Like, okay, maybe, I'm always willing to accept that I don't know everything. I know something. I just don't know everything. So I don't know the guy's whole career. That's all I know about him is that, I was watching Mid-South Wrestling on the WWE Network, and 1 week Junkyard Dog was gone. And the next week, Brickhouse Brown was there. And they're trying to push him. Well, this was after, I think, Tony Atlas. They tried Tony Atlas first. And then that didn't work out. Mr. USA, Tony Atlas, that didn't work out. Then they brought in Brickhouse Brown. That worked a little bit. And then he was gone. Then they brought in that Snowman guy, I think he was. What was his name? Snowman? The Snowman or something like that? It was just a cavalcade of Negroes they just brought in because they needed another black guy for Bush Reed to wrestle. That's the only thing they did. Gary Hart, undeniable. Absolutely fantastic choice. He of course, he could have gotten his own introduction. That would have been great. But, Gary Hart is phenomenal for what he did for World Class. One of the reasons why everybody knows who the Von Erichs are. Guy was tremendous with Kabuki and Kamala and being in the office over there in Dallas, man, it's just tremendous. He's a credit to the wrestling business. I love Gary Hart. Dr. Steve Williams, similarly, also love that guy. He was recruited by Jim Ross, I believe, brought into the Mid-South while he was still in college. They started him out, I think, like 22 or something like that, and he came in as a college football star, two-sport athlete, because he was doing wrestling too. Dr. Steve Williams, of course, is a guy who, his one problem is that he didn't come to the WWE when in the 80s. If he'd have came to the WWE in 1988 or something like that, we would remember Steve Williams so much differently. But instead, he came in 1998, and he was already in his 30s. And, only thing people remember him for is the Brawl for All. But Dr. Steve Williams is tremendous, super tough guy. He's always been really, if you've seen him in Japan, how hard-nosed he is. Very tough dude, deserving. Baron Michelle Leone, I don't know that much about him, to be quite honest. I think he might have been before my time. He wrestled Lou Thez, so he's certainly before my time. So then we get the Feminist Icons, the Bella Twins, and I was ready to Earl because it was horrible. When they used the word Shiro, basically female hero, Shero, Shiro, I was like, ugh, this is horrible. Yuck. I don't even hate the Bella Twins, but this was shit. They basically started talking about how they, were so thrilled to be part of the women's revolution and got to spearhead that women's revolution with all the men too and all of the women. And they gave some of the men credit, Pat Patterson, Fit Finley, Kidman. They kept calling Johnny Ace dad. I was like, this sucks. And then Bree thanked Brian for sacrificing their private lives so that she could further women's wrestling via the reality TV show. I was one of those guys that supported the Bella Twins going into the Hall of Fame because I know what they did culturally. But this was hard to sit through. I'm not going to hold you up. This was hard to sit through. This was not good. This was not good. This was hard to sit. This was cringe. This was a pipe bomb of cringe. Feminist bullshit and all kind of other stuff. It was cringe. Okay, the Warrior Award went to Thaddeus Bullard, aka Titus O'Neil, and I walked away saying we should Saint Titus O'Neil. He should be Saint Titus, Saint Thaddeus. This is a guy who says that he was the child of sexual assault, grew up in poverty, ended up in a boys' ranch. That's where he found, people who actually cared about him, and it began to change his life. And he started this foundation, the Bullet Family Foundation, where he doesn't ask kids, he doesn't believe in bad kids. He says, he asks people what happened to you, basically what made you this way. Now, I worked in a group home. I worked in a group home for 6 months. Um, I know that some kids are just straight up damaged for sure. But I don't, I don't like the idea of people are not responsible for themselves. But this guy is great. He speaks very clearly. Like this was the best. This was a great speech, and I can never tell you what was a great Titus O'Neil promo. This is his calling. This is what he's meant to do. Saint Titus is meant to go out there and help people and do nice things and, save children. The guy's a saint. He's a good-natured guy, great dude. If you can donate to his foundation or something like that, that would be excellent. I'm all for people who go out there and try to help kids. I remember when I was trying to do it, it was very hard. He was working with kids who were, seemed to be younger. I was dealing with them as teenagers. Some of them 15, 16 years old. I mean, those kids were basically ready for jail, if we're being honest. It was a practice run for jail for them. But I always tried to help them. I always did try to, teach them like you're getting closer to the age where people are going to stop caring, right? Like that's kind of how this country is, and that's kind of how the world is. At some point, and that magical age of 18 is usually it. And sometimes it's 17, depending on the crime, where, you're not going to be able to blame mommy beat me, dad didn't love me. They're not going to care. You go out there and you steal somebody's car or something stupid like that, they're either going to put a bullet in you or they're going to put a goddamn number on your chest, one or the other, But if his way is working, God bless him. Titus is the man for all of this stuff. Very deserving of the Warrior Award. All hail Saint Titus. Then we get the NWO. I didn't care about this at all. Hogan just went on and on and on. And to be quite honest, I wrote down literally. Hall said something. I missed it because he didn't have much to say. Nash basically said what made the NWO work is that all of these were WWE guys, and then therefore WWE is for life. And then Hogan went on and on about, let me tell you something, brother. I never lost the belt, brother. And he started talking about how, Bischoff pitched the NWO to him, or he's going to give the NWO to Sting or something like that. I was just kind of like, 90% of Hogan, anything Hogan says is bullshit. A good 90% of it is absolute bullshit. So I didn't give a fuck what Hulk Hogan had to say. Okay, so I'm just being honest. I don't know when the last time I heard a Hulk Hogan shoot interview or anything where I walked away thinking Hulk Hogan is telling the truth. He's a bullshit artist. He's probably one of the last true carnies. Okay, I'm talking like the guy is impenetrable. He refuses to tell the truth. I don't think Hulk Hogan knows what the truth is, if we're being honest, brother. I don't think Hulk Hogan knows what the truth is anymore. Jerry King Lawler was the host for the 2020 portion of the Hall of Fame. I like Jerry King Lawler as the host. He's usually a very good host. Like Vince always finds weird things for these guys to do. And Jerry King Lawler, because he's always been sort of the comedian, since we've known him as the comedian, I know that a lot of people who are big fans of Memphis and all these guys, they hate that. They hate that Jerry Lawler is a comedian. And that's what he's known for. He's not known as the blood and guts king of Memphis, beating Terry Funk's ass in the empty arena. I think that was him and Terry Funk in the empty arena, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But he's a stand-up comedian in WWE, dog. I don't know what to tell you. So the 2021 class starts and is hosted by Kayla Braxton and Corey Graves. I was like, okay, fair. You're going to have this new class and do some new people to do it. All right, cool. Number one was Rob Van Dam. And Rob Van Dam looks like the guy from Blow, like all the time now. Every time I look at a picture of Rob Van Dam, he looks like an old pimp. Like, he just, I love Rob Van Dam, but you know, he just kind of has that swag to him. You know, he just kind of like, you know, too cool for everything now. You know, like he's in his, I think he's 50 now. You know, he's been chilling. He's kind of like, he's in between. He doesn't work anywhere and he doesn't care. You know, like it's great. His wife, girlfriend or whatever. He's got 2 of them, 3 of them, I think. I think I saw a picture where him had like 4 different broads. He's running like a brothel out of his house. Rob is the coolest motherfucker on the planet. And all he had to do was get divorced. He got divorced and started living for real. Okay? Like, he got divorced. He said, fuck Impact, I'm out of here. And now he went and got him 4 bitches and a jacuzzi, and he just chilling. They covering each other with whipped cream. They doing all type of wild. Rob is just living it up, dog. And I love Rob Van Dam specifically for that. But of course, I was always a big fan since I was a kid. But Rob Van Dam's his speech was very humble. He basically talked about this being a circle of life, and making people feel better by doing his thing, and we all got our things that help us change energies. And I was like, oh boy, he's really going off the rocker. He starts talking about spiritual vibrations and all that type of stuff. I was like, please, Rob, get back on. But he says that, it was, being inducted with people who influenced him made it an honor. And that, when you think of him, think of individuality. Like, he resisted change. People tried to change him. People wanted to change him. But, he wouldn't change because they didn't understand him. And, so he kept going. So he thanked his parents. He thanked they call him the original Sheik, but that would be WWE and some people like that. They would call him the Sheik. I've learned through Rob Van Dam and reading bits of Sabu that if you call Ed Farhat the original Sheik, they kind of get pretty pissed at you. They don't recognize the Iron Sheik. There's only one Sheik, and that's Ed Farhat. So he basically said the Sheik, that's who he was talking about. And he basically said that, this induction is a victory for everybody. It's a victory for all of us. And I really liked that. Rob Van Dam's, it felt very real. It felt very natural to him. Like, it felt nice. It was great. Rob Van Dam's speech was awesome. In between speeches, there was some talking. They would ask, various wrestlers about it. So they talked about Molly Holly and Sasha Banks. Could not get Molly Holly's name right. She called her Holly Molly. I think she called her Holly Molly twice. And had to be corrected before they left the screen. I just wrote down, what is she on? What is she on? Somebody needs to find... Sasha Banks has been unbearable with talking lately. And I'm not picking on her because she messed up one time. I mess up sometimes too. Sasha Banks used to be better than this, is what I'm saying. She used to be good. Now she's kind of like, don't give a fuck, and it's weird, and it shows, it shows. But Molly Holly went next. Another Saint Nora. I think Nora is her real name. Saint Nora comes out and immediately starts talking about, hey, only 2 people have ever had their head shaved at WrestleMania. One is, she put herself over and saying how, inspirational she was and how powerful she was. And the other is Vince McMahon. And then she went immediately into thanking the crew. She didn't thank any other wrestlers, nothing. She just started thanking the crew, but the people to put the rings together. And she started talking about how she, the crew made her feel okay. They made her part of their team. She would stay after the shows to wrap up cable just to be around them. And then she named them one at a time. She went through and started naming crew people during her Hall of Fame speech. Like, this woman is a saint. So now we got Saint Thaddeus and we got Saint Nora. Okay, these people are saints. We need to get some stained glass somewhere around Titan Tower and put their pictures in it. I've never seen anybody so gracious with their Hall of Fame speech. That they spend the whole speech putting over other people. And was short in doing so. And didn't really put herself over at all, outside of that initial joke. That was it. She came in, she kept it short. She says that, hey, the fans, thank you for overlooking my shortcomings and accepting me as I am. And I was just kind of like, what in the hell? Like, I just started seeing lights and shit, like, shimmering over her head, and like a halo appeared. And I was like, what is going on here? Like, she is just entirely too sweet. She's too sweet. That made me feel bad about myself. Because I was like, damn, could you at least say, at least talk about, like, who trained you and all this type of stuff? But she kind of just went in there and was like, all of these people are responsible for how good we look and how great we are. And all of these are my friends. She thanked all of her friends, said thank you to the fans, and dipped. And I was just kind of like, wow. Not a lick of self-aggrandizement, not a lick of ego, no vanity, nothing. And I just like, man, what the hell? I felt bad. I legitimately felt bad. I was like, because I couldn't think of, like, I've been talking about myself so much. I felt terrible after this. Anyway, the Great Khali was next. He didn't have anything to say. Oddly enough, the Great Khali was in the United States when he did this speech. He was in the United States, and they still did his speech virtually. I'm guessing it's because he flew to the country and he didn't have time to, quarantine or anything like that. So they just basically kept him away from the building, which was smart because all these people have to work WrestleMania and TakeOver and all that type of stuff, right? So basically he says that he's the first Indian superstar and first Indian world champion, that he feels good. He's really happy. That he's upset that he couldn't be with us, but, we are, all of his fans are his fans in his heart. And then he showed his Hall of Fame ring, which is actually on his pinky. He's got giant baseball mitt hands. This was cool. I understand why he probably wanted to be there, but they didn't want to be like, hey, you coming from India, then just come walking right into the Hall of Fame venue. Like, probably not. Not why, I think Roman was in there and Sasha is in there and somebody who might be actually be in the WrestleMania is there. And you probably don't want to do that. So Ozzy Osbourne was in the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. Nobody cares. So then the legacy wing 2021 got Paul Bosch, who was the mentor of Bruce Pritchard. There was actually an interesting picture by Brian Last that was put up about Paul Bosch, who says that Vince McMahon killed the handshake in wrestling. That, before there were contracts, there were handshakes. You would do handshake deals. And Vincent K. McMahon, is the guy who killed the handshake. Essentially, you can't do handshake contracts anymore because guys will jump ship on you. You don't have a contract, guy will leave and go to another territory. Basically, Vince would snatch your guys from you. And so he says that Vince was the guy who killed the handshake. But WWE gave Paul Bosch a big send-off when he retired. So much like Vern, much like all the other old territory promoters that had mixed feelings about Vince. But Paul Bosch, of course, Houston legend. Ethel Johnson, I believe I read some articles about her. The first black women's wrestler, period. It's pretty cool. I think she started in the 50s. They actually had some video footage, which is actually interesting. Pez Watley, who I'm not familiar with at all. Dick the Bruiser was before my time, but I've heard of him. Buzz Sawyer, dope. I remember Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer. Saw him in, what's that I was watching with Buzz Sawyer on it? Was it World Class? I believe it was World Class. But he was really good, really good. I can't speak to him intelligently about it because I can't even remember what promotion I saw him in, but I do remember him being really good. And I always thought that Mad Dog Buzz was like calling somebody Mad Dog when their name is Buzz. It's kind of weird. I kind of felt like a hat on a hat situation. So then we got Eric Bischoff was the next inductee, and basically he gave his introduction, his induction, basically like a roadmap. He picked up his family and moved to Minneapolis or whatever, and got a job working for Vern. That when that went under, he drove down to Atlanta, and he did what he did there, revolutionized the business, restarted a bunch of stuff, and brought a new coat of paint to the entire industry. And then when that was done, he came up to Stanford and worked on TV and did all that. And he talked about how, he thanked the WWE from taking said that, hey, we took this business from being a carnival sideshow at a circus to now being a legitimate industry. And, it's a uniquely American institution, is pro wrestling, I think the Mexicans will probably argue about the whole, whether pro wrestling started in Mexico or whether it started in the United States. Everything that I've read stated that it started in the United States. But Mexico, who knows? But that was pretty much it. He thanked his family, his wife and everything, and that was pretty much it. So it was fun, and I'm glad that Eric Bischoff got his Hall of Fame ring, and that was excellent. The Warrior Award went to Rich Herring, which is the kind of guy that the Ultimate Warrior wanted the Warrior Award to go to anyway. The Ultimate Warrior wanted the award to go to people who worked in the company already, but they worked in production and the unseen people to do that. So that's what this Rich Herring thing is. It's basically like they picked this guy who had been there for 51 years. He worked for Vincent J. McMahon. And, he's done a little bit of everything. They call him the problem solver. He's a judge. And I was just kind of like, this guy, of course, I think everybody who had never heard of this guy before, who saw that this guy's been around for a long time, and you just kind of say to yourself, this guy's been around this long and we have no idea what he does. Then he's Ray. What was that TV show? What was it? Not Ray Fisher. That's the guy who played Cyborg in Justice League. Ray Donovan. I think, is that the show called Ray Donovan? The guy who, goes and snatches dead prostitutes out of your bathroom and puts them in cars and drives them to the side of the road to make it seem like they OD'd in the car somewhere and not in your house. The Hollywood fixer. Like, this has got to be the guy. Even though he doesn't seem like that kind of guy though. Like, he just seemed like a, very demure, very nice guy. He's friendly with the Warrior family. He's been taking care of them ever since Jim Hellwig died. Warrior. his wife is named Dana Warrior. His name was just Warrior. It's so weird. Anyway, he was a friend of the family, so a friend of the McMahons, friend of the Warriors. They wanted to give him this award for that. And you know what? I don't know what he did. They tried to tell us, that he was a judge, and he helped promote WWE and helped take it from a regional promotion to a national promotion, and that he supported the Warrior family, and that he's a integral part of WWE. And a guy you don't keep a guy around for 51 years unless he knows something, right? There's some things about Vince, man, that I appreciate, and the fact that he's kept some guys on the payroll for so long, and we have no idea what they do, and it isn't at the point where nobody even asks anymore. I'm pretty sure. Like, I think I may have mentioned it in a video before. The Brooklyn Brawler is still under contract. He's never been not under contract. There have been guys who technically don't work in WWE and still been getting paychecks, and a lot of people they kind of overlook that stuff. That's why, I believe I made a comment under the Jim Cornette video when Brian Last made this comment that, Stu Hart when he sold Stampede to Vince, that screwed, and Vince screwed Stu Hart. I was like, dude, what are you talking about? The Hart family is still eating off of that deal. The reason Vince even deals with some of these people is because of Stu. Like the Harts were on the payroll for a long time. Still are, because Natalia's still there. And now TJ is a producer. Like, so you have these guys, man, where, because they don't work there in an official capacity, like Undertaker is still under contract. What does he do? He doesn't do anything. He's not a producer. He's not a trainer. What does he do? He's just under contract. So like Vince has those guys, they might have something on them. They might know where his gun collection is, where the bodies are buried. He's one of those guys. But, I really appreciate that about Vince, though. Like, he doesn't really... Some people say he chucks guys and gets rid of them. I say, yeah, you must not know anything. Because there are some people with some real institutional knowledge. They still getting Titan checks, and they don't work there. And it's not royalties or anything like that. What's the name down in Puerto Rico? The Carlito's daddy. They've been taking care of them for a long time, too. But that's because of Gorilla Monsoon. So the last one was Kane. Went last. So he talked about being a small town boy from Missouri. I feel there was nothing real special about him except his work ethic. He thanked his parents and said that his mom loved Isaac Yankem, which I thought was weird. Thanked his kids for being there. Apologized for all the missed birthdays and soccer practices. Thanked Dutch Mantel, Jim Cornette, and Jim Ross for his helping out and getting him started and getting him in WWE. Thanked the production staff for making them look real good. Honored and thanked his fellow wrestlers, and said that the Undertaker and Kane story is the greatest story WWE has ever told, and I agree with that. It is a 20-year story? Because it started in 98. It ended in what year? 2018? Because I think they had the last tag team match with DX. I think that was it. Unless it was it 2018? I don't know. But I agree. You talk about something with a definitive beginning and a definitive end, and you had ups and downs, and you had conflict, and you had drama. It was excellent. It truly was a fantastic wrestling story between these guys, and it was fun. So we got a lot of interesting things in this Hall of Fame. I really don't like watching the Hall of Fame, to be honest. I really only watched it to do the video. Usually I would skip the Hall of Fame, or I would just go watch the things that I liked, or the guys that I liked. I wouldn't sit through everything. But the only thing that really was cringy to me was the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins really sucked. Everything else was good. Saint Thaddeus and Saint Nora made me feel like a bad person, like I need to go out and do more. Like I need to go out and give away my wisdom teeth or something like that, and I need to give away a kidney to make myself feel like a good person again. But other than that, man, everything was pretty solid. No complaints. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Go into the description and send me money via the Cash App, or if you want to put me on the payroll, you could just go to Subscribestar, $5 a month. I appreciate that too. You can follow me on Twitter there as well. Or you could just hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And thank you guys for your time. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.